Hello and welcome back to the Content Collector's DeRailed Podcast. This week on the show we have Ben Cathro. Ben's been a big part of the Scottish mountain bike scene for the best part of 20 years. He raced World Cups many of those years. He's had some amazing results. He's a really good rider. But he's probably best known now for his YouTube channel that sort of provides technical analysis of what the riders are up to, what the tracks are like at the World Cups. Hutch has also known him for a very long time. Those guys went to school together, so we thought it'd be a good idea if he joined us on the call. And it was. We had a really fun conversation. We ended up having a whiskey. We had a laugh. We talked about Ben's 2020 mainly, which was a pretty wild year for most of us, but possibly, actually, especially so for Ben. He had a child in the spring, and he broke his neck in, I think, around August time. So pretty challenging and crazy year for Ben, and we go into all that kind of stuff in this episode, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's a fun episode. We had a lot of fun recording it, and hope you enjoy watching it. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll answer all your questions. Give us any feedback you have. It's all very much appreciated and all very welcome. So we're going to jump in now to my conversation with Ben. Enjoy.
Okay, sweet. Ben, how are you?
Real good, Morgan. How are you getting on?
Good. Yeah, I'm pretty excited actually, especially since we've decided to have a whiskey as well.
Yeah, I think
that was a good decision
let's
from you guys.
start it off. Cheers, Ben. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. I thought since Hutch is on the call, I wondered, and you guys go way back. You went to school together and stuff. I wondered if you have any good Hutch stories.
Oh.
Hutch stories? I don't know. Hutch was a bit too cool to hang out with me. Don't really have many stories.
Don't lie.
Really?
We were. So you were a year below me, Hutch, eh? 1 year.
I've always looked up to you. Always.
Physically.
Literally.
So no, like we definitely hung out in different circles. So specifically in school, can't remember much of him getting like chucked out of classes or anything like that. But mostly the stories were riding up behind his house. So Hutch had a big hill right behind his house that we built all the tracks on. So it would just be going up there and trying to do silly stuff on bikes and build disastrous things. I was just there today actually for the first time in I don't know how long, maybe like 10 years, sampling some bits of old track.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, very nostalgic.
Whereabouts was that? Sorry, Hutch, I forgot.
So Hutch, where did you live?
Benderloch, so west coast of Scotland. Yeah, just about an hour south of Fort William for all the bike fans out there.
And was it the same? Was it Hutch said in our podcast that we did just the other day? He said it was this mountain bike race that you guys had near your town that got you all into it. Is that the same for you, Cathro?
It was everyone else getting into it, got me into it. So I didn't even know the race was on. It happened.
Oh, really?
Hutch, Andy, James, who are like the biking crew, all went up to see it, and then they all got into biking, and then I knew Ian Ezzy, who was good friends with Hutch, and he had like the sickest bike in town, Orange Patriot, Z1 BAMs, and we'd see him cutting about, and then I think we all just wanted to get involved.
Totally, yeah. I remember the first time I even saw a downhill bike, and it was just the biggest dream I wanted to ride one just off like walls or garages and things, and I just saw it as being this real just smooth thing, transition from a garage onto the ground.
Well, that was I built a track my dad helped me build a track in the field next to my house, and I remember there was like a 4-foot drop to flat in it, and I had a rally max that had like 2 inches of like elastomer suspension front and rear, and every time I landed the drop my pedals would bend, and then I'd have to do the drop the next time with my other foot forward, so they would be like
that's a square taper bottom bracket probably playing its best.
And then they bend again, and then Ian Ezzy came and rode it, and then I told my dad we need to buy that bike because Ian was selling it, and that's kind of how I got into like proper mountain biking.
That's funny. Yeah, I used to have an Apollo, and I had there was like this flower bed in the square near where I lived, and it had a wall next to it, and I used to lift my bike up onto the wall just so I could just jump off the thing. I thought as well I should apologize. So me and you did a podcast like 2 or 3 years ago.
We did.
And what happened was about 20 minutes into our 2-hour podcast, my computer ran out of memory. And that was it. And then so I tried to get the file because I recorded it on my phone, but couldn't. And then I just, like, nothing ever happened with it. So we'll cover maybe some of the same ground, but it's going to be a little, that conversation's just gone forever.
You went dark. You just didn't update me. I was like, how's the podcast going? And you were just nothing.
I know, yeah. Sorry about that. This one will be better, though. Christo's here. He's looking over it.
Morgie Bear's back.
Yeah, exactly. The return. So I want to talk to you about 2020, which was a crazy year for all of us. But when I was thinking about it, probably a really crazy year for you. Like lots went on. So I thought, like, how did the year start for you, and what were your original plans for 2020?
Started off strong. I was in full training mode, trying to get this old fleshy, lanky piece back in shape.
There was transformations happening, Ben. It was impressive.
Yeah, it was cool. I actually got a 6-pack again. I couldn't believe it.
not rocking the dad bod.
Well, it was going that way. And then, I was getting fit because I was planning to race World Cups again, and got a big sponsorship deal with Pinkbike. We're in the top here. And was going to make a video series for them documenting trying to get back into World Cup racing. So getting really fit. I've been buzzing on that. And things were looking good. I was feeling really fit, and then heading into first World Cup, we were travelling out, doing all that, doing testing, and then coronavirus just stopped everything for everyone, including myself.
How do you think, how did you feel coming into the 2020 season compared with the last time you were kind of taking the World Cup seriously? When would that have been? 2011, 2010? No, later than that.
When would that have been? The last time I remember putting proper effort in was about 2010, 2011, riding for the MTB Cut team. The year after, me and Hutch were on the same team.
Quite a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah, me and Hutch 2008 were on the Orange Mojo team. And that year I was running mainly off of, talent and not much effort. And I actually had the best year ever. And then I decided to train my ass off the next year. But I didn't know how to train, and I was just kind of making it up as I went along. Had a bit of guidance from Scottish Cycling, and I just overtrained myself into a hole, and then felt actually rubbish the next year.
Really?
So going into this year, 2020, or last year even, I was feeling pretty good. I was definitely feeling not as limber as I once was, but I was fitter and stronger than I had been.
Really? Even 10 years on?
Yeah.
Do you think that was just because you're a bit smarter about how you were training?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a proper training plan and actually put my priority on rest and recovery rather than on benching as much as I could.
Which is a lot, I've heard.
How much was that?
Oh, I can't remember. I think we got over 100, so it's not ridiculous. Like 100 kg.
It seems pretty ridiculous to me.
Yeah. I think I'm mates with the guy who does I'm mates with the guy that does kayaking, and he's like creaming me at any bench and stuff. So
really. So then lockdown happens, and obviously everyone's plans are changed massively. What were you up to during lockdown?
No, you're breaking up. I'm gonna have to flip to 4G, and Krista's gonna have to edit this.
So I was just asking you about lockdown. Your plans were scuppered, as were everyone's in the world. So what were you up to during lockdown?
So yeah, we got back. Must have been end of March, and that's when things were like, they were like, the borders are shutting. We're gonna get stuck in Spain and have to eat donkey for the next 3 weeks or something. And I'm sure that the food there is actually excellent. Chorizo, that's what it would have been on. And yeah, we rushed home, and at the same time, me and my wife had a baby due. So lockdown for me involved trying to take care of a pregnant wife and then take care of a baby and a wife that had just gone through the most horrendous ordeal known to man. So start of lockdown was really cool. It was just hanging out with them.
So your baby was born at the start of lockdown.
Yeah, pretty close to the start of lockdown. Lockdown baby born start of April, and yeah, it was like I've said before in other kind of places that it was actually really fortunate that we were told go home, stay at home, and I was like, perfect, I can hang out with the family. So it was actually cool.
Silver linings and everything, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My brother actually had a baby during lockdown, and it was a bit complicated with hospitals and everything. It was a bit of a stress for that. But then I think he did, like, being on furlough and stuff did give him quite a sort of unique chance just the same as you.
Yeah, I was lucky that this year's the first year I've ever actually been on a wage. Like, I've always just done either running my own business and just getting paid whenever I worked, or just doing cash in hand jobs. And then this was the first wage job, right at the right moment.
It's amazing you've got to over 30, and that's like the first one. You've obviously coached and stuff for so long and like run your own business and that side of things. Yeah, pretty.
Well, I just never had any aspirations to like get a steady job and just bring in that steady paycheck until I realised I had a baby due. Like, oh crap.
It's too much either.
In our last podcast, the Lost podcast, we talked a lot about sort of the challenge of being a privateer and trying to get a deal and stuff. And I think I want to talk to you a little bit more about that in a bit. But how we were talking about, you know, what a sort of surprise it was to you maybe to like start doing this just track analysis, this like detailed track analysis at the World Cup, and then the success that has had has been crazy, and obviously it's grown even more in the last 2 years, like a lot more in the last 2 years. How surprising has that been for you, and how much of a difference has it made to like your life?
It's just changed my life completely, and kind of like coaching was how I kind of earned money, and that's what I did, and that was brilliant. Really enjoyed doing that. And then it's taken me on a totally different avenue, like being a video producer / creator, and then getting employed by Pinkbike. It's not where I saw myself going, and like it was a total surprise. I knew when I started making the videos that they would be like pretty popular to like the core kind of mountain bike audience, like the riders. They'd be like,
Did you think it would just be something that racers were into?
Well, that's what I was doing. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, racers are gonna be like well into this, but then I thought the general public would just be like, like not really gel with it at all, or be like, that's boring. It's like, well, that's far too much detail. I just want like Rob Warner commentary, just going nuts and shouting and getting drunk. Not, he was about 3 millimeters further to the outside there. That gave him more exit speed. So yeah,
it's funny though because it's so fascinating, and there hasn't really been any. I suppose in other sports there is a lot of this kind of stuff. You know, like if you watch like a Grand Slam at tennis or something, you're always having experts' view and you know having them analyze it, and it's almost even more interesting for people who are not in the sport to actually see what the players or the riders and stuff are thinking about.
I'd love to say that it was planned like that. Like I saw a gap in the market. I knew it was going to be good, but it was chance, pure chance.
You did kind of see that gap because you wouldn't have otherwise started doing those videos. So I guess maybe the way it grew was a complete surprise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're giving me too much credit there.
You're a strategic thinker.
Yeah. I was impressed.
I was pissed off that I couldn't race the World Cup, and I was like, what the hell do I do? So I took a camera up and filmed stuff. But yeah.
Was that first year not the year that you asked Gwyn how much she got paid?
No, that was...
Was that the second year?
Second round. I went... that was like second round of the World Cup. I did at Fort William. And then at the end of the year, the final was in Val di Sole in Italy, and went out to that. So yeah, same year, but I did 2 videos that year, or 2 races that year.
It's funny, I was watching a Red Bull video, like how much do mountain bike athletes earn or something, and that question that you posed to Gwen was like the cornerstone of the whole episode. What was that like? Was that pretty scary, going up to him and asking him that?
No, the way I framed it was, off camera I would say to them, look, I have viewers that pose questions and I have to ask them to you, and we're like, you don't have to answer them if you don't want to, but I have to ask you, so it's not for me. So it almost took all the pressure off, and it was fine. It was like, I'm not asking you this. Someone else.
Right. Yeah, that was such a big deal. That was all over the mountain bike media afterwards.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like I know that year there was a lot of like key things I wanted to ask people, and I did it like that year. And then after then, I was kind of like, there's not much else I really want to know, so I peaked too early. I got those good questions in, like on those first videos. But yeah, it was cool, and it was meant that he actually answered it. Like, I kind of feel like if it had been anyone else, maybe I would have struggled to get an answer.
Yeah, he's quite transparent about that kind of stuff, and it's maybe actually a good thing for all the riders, because then they have a sort of gauge on negotiating their own contracts and stuff.
Definitely. I mean, he's like a bit of a unicorn, and kind of he's really good at the business side of things, and he was definitely higher, so maybe people on a similar level to him were able to negotiate better. But I think that it has started to filter down a bit as more people are kind of talking about it.
Yeah, especially and as the young guys start to kind of come up to that level, they kind of have that as a gauge.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, me and Hutch, when we rode for the Mojo team, we were on a expenses program. And Hutch, did we have to give those bikes back, or did we have them to sell?
We had to give them back, I think.
Yeah, we gave them back at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think deals over the years have changed, and yeah, maybe that transparency, or if there was more transparency, it would help riders actually make more of a living from it. Because it's, I guess even now, not that many people really do. Like, it's not their full-time job.
And not that many people, not even that many people are on great deals. It's funny you talk about that, because I remember at my first ever race, Pitficky in 2008, I remember seeing you guys. You were definitely there, Ben. I don't know if you were there, Hutch. But and I'd assumed like the team you were on was like you guys were earning a bunch of money, a bunch of free bikes, expenses. You're just traveling the world. I was like, God, I want to be like those guys. And then as you get older, you find out like pretty much no one is getting that much, from their teams or anything.
Yeah, because like me and Hutch were getting, like, Hutch had a couple top 30s, was going to top 20 in Mont St. Anne, and then had a wee tip down right by the finish.
I did. I got too excited.
Yeah, and then I had a few top 20s, and even at that, that's not something that you would earn a wage from, which seems ridiculous. But knowing other people now that are kind of sorting out deals and been kind of working with a few people to help them with their contracts, is people are getting what they're worth now. Because to go race, represent a brand, risk your body, like you're putting yourself out there, and then not getting paid for it, it seems really weird. Like, we thought about doing a marketing, say someone asked you to do a little video to go on Facebook or something like that, and you'd be like, will you give me about £1,000 for that or something? And you'd be like, yeah, sure, that seems about reasonable. But to go travelling off somewhere, risk your life, and what can I get for that? We'll loan you a bike. How about that? Does that sound?
We'll support you in your dream. It's almost like I think companies kind of take advantage of the fact that this is everyone's dream. Do you know the athlete's dream? And so it's just like, oh, we'll give you like just a little bit or something. Whereas, I was just saying that it's almost like some companies they take advantage of the fact that maybe it's changing now, but they kind of take advantage of the fact that it's the rider's like dream and ambition to get on a team and stuff.
I'm going to try and put some information out there, which without naming names or anything, but we were planning for next year, like having a team. We talked about this in the Pinkbike podcast, of having a team of riders and mechanics as well, and riders, and it was easier to negotiate for the mechanics to be paid a proper wage than it was for the riders to be paid a proper wage, which is weird.
Funny. Yeah.
Like really weird.
Yeah, because getting to that level as a...
Like, that's okay, right? For doing that amount of time, that's how much you get paid. But for a rider, it's like, how much value are you bringing to the brands? And it's like, well, you're a lower rider, so probably not going to sell many bikes, so not really worth that much, even though they're still doing a job. So it's a crazy thing.
And probably committing a lot more time over the year to train and do all the social and everything. That's interesting.
And over the course of their lives, like to get to that level, just to get to the level of racing World Cups as a rider is huge time investment. Just like it's harder to get to that level than it would be as a mechanic. Not that mechanics are highly skilled as well, but there's more of a blueprint there to follow, and it's not as you're not being tested in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you
like for what I was saying, it wasn't that
Yeah.
the riders weren't going to get paid for our plan.
About your...
Oh, Morgan, you're talking over me. Stop.
Sorry, it's this delay. It's the delay. It's my internet. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about we were talking about 2020. You had a child in the spring. You were planning on racing World Cups. We go into lockdown, and then at some point you have a pretty serious injury. Because you broke your neck, which is, I think, everyone mountain biker's biggest fear. Like, whenever I've hurt myself, it's always that's the fear, like if your neck's sore or whatever. So what was it like lying on the ground there? What was that like just after you crashed?
I was out of it because I KO'd myself properly. Like, I didn't really know what was going on. So what was going through my head apparently was, where am I? Oh, okay, we're here. Aye, but where am I? All right, we're in DeRailed. Yeah, but where am I? And it was just like, I was in a muddle, proper muddle. And I wasn't.
So you hit
really
your head
aware.
pretty hard as well.
Oh yeah, proper. It's like the worst kind of head injury I've had, and I was really concussed for a while as well.
Oof.
So, on the hill, I don't remember really being conscious of what I'd done. Like, I don't remember thinking I'd broken my neck or I might have done something. I just knew I was in a lot of pain. I'd knocked myself out, and they thought there was a chance that I could have broken my neck or injured my spine. So my main thing was I was freezing. I was just worried about being so cold, and luckily there were so many people there. They had spare jackets and blankets and stuff like that, and like kept me warm. So I was like the DeRailed biking crew, Taj, Jules, and all their mates that I've kind of gotten to know over the few years that I've lived over there. And yeah, been so cold. And then the mountain rescue came, and they gave me morphine. And I don't remember much after that.
That's a good thing. I dislocated my shoulder recently, and the one silver lining was it was just here in Innerleithen, and I like dragged myself down from the hill, just like it's in excruciating pain. And then I just knew I was going to get into that ambulance, and I was going to get some morphine. And then had a bit of a ride to the hospital. They only give you 5 milligrams at a time, though, certainly with a shoulder injury, which I felt not enough. I was like, can I get a top up on that? Because they're allowed to give you 20. So I don't know what he was doing starting with 5.
They heard your substance abuse addiction anymore.
He was like, just another 5, and I was like, can we go 10? It's funny because
I'm going to need all of the 20. Just give it all now.
Yeah, just give me the whole thing. This is my one chance. It's crazy because you kept it completely secret from everyone. Like, no one found out about it until it was like the autumn. What was that like?
That was a mistake.
Really?
Shouldn't have done that. Well, I was like, this is going to make for a really good video, because we were struggling for video ideas. Like, for the series, we had to make 8 videos of the year that were supposed to be about racing, and there weren't any races. So I was like, well, this is definitely going to be a video. So I was like, right, don't tell anyone. Keep it secret. This will be amazing when the thumbnail comes up and it's, he's broken his neck. Click on that video.
Clickbait.
That was definitely my experience.
And obviously, the rumors got out, and the people were like, "Oh, he's paralyzed, and oh, he's like severely like injured, and oh, that's it, he's done." And then that got back to family members as well, and I was getting phone calls because I didn't tell anyone. I was just like, keep it proper secret. And I had people calling, like family members going, I've heard you're in hospital and you're paralyzed. What's going on? And I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm actually fine. I'm just here making a cup of tea. I've just got a brace on. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, it definitely worked for me because when I first saw the thing, I was like, I had all those thoughts rapidly went through my head, and I was like checking. I had to go and watch the video and all that stuff. But I suppose fine for me, not so good for your family members.
No. Oh well.
So what's your recovery been like? How hard's it been, and how do you feel at the moment?
Oh, by far and away toughest recovery. Like the bone healing was fine. It was just like your vertebrae have little kind of wings that come out the side and little kind of prongs that locate it to each other vertebrae as it goes up your spine. And I just broke one of the little locators. So that was fine, that healed. But the main issue I've had is one of the discs, so the soft kind of squishy donut pads in between each vertebrae, got like they call it like a slip disc, and it had a bulge in it. And that bulge was going into my spinal column and causing nerve pain, kind of into my arm and down my back, and that was really bad. Like I had to get on like turbo painkillers to try and like get rid of that, and it was not ideal. So I was really struggling with that for a while, and now I still get a little bit of that, so I don't know if that's going to fully go away, and it's not ideal. So I'm hoping that'll get better over time. Yeah. But I'm fully mobile. I can move everything. Everything's great. I can ride my bike, but I do suffer from a bit of pain. So,
how is it riding your bike? Do you feel the same on it as you did before?
Yeah. You don't really notice it while you're riding, but then when you stop and you kind of go, oh yeah, I've definitely broken my neck at some point recently.
Has it changed your attitude towards riding at all?
No. I think mountain biking, there's an inherent risk to it. You can injure yourself at any time. The only thing that I kind of fully wasn't aware of was returning to biking too soon had a higher risk of re-injuring that same area. So I kind of increased my knowledge about that kind of injury and the spinal injuries. You proper have to let it recover for long enough. But when it comes to riding a bike, I don't think any differently. I don't think you should, or I don't want to, because I enjoy riding fast, racing, and that risk has always been there. If something happens, it happens. I'm just going to just ride my bike, have fun, and just carry on as usual.
I suppose you maybe just have answered my next question, but what about having being a father now? Has that changed your attitude towards riding or racing at all?
No, got insurance now, so that if anything did happen, the family's got something to kind of help them out. But no, like my priority, I think, well, not priority, but one of my main things I want to do is this plan of like going back to racing and trying to succeed at that. And you cannot do that if you're thinking, better take it easy, better back off like 5%. It's just, you can't think like that. Maybe when this plan is done and then put to rest, I might chill out, but I don't see it happening. I love going fast on my bike.
I don't think you're built like that, Ben, are you?
No.
You can't go slow.
I'm not wired for that. Although when I'm coaching, I do. When I'm coaching, I'm super chill. I sometimes get stuck in coaching mode and then have to flip out of it.
Yeah, it's funny. You are right. I mean, if you're going to be racing, you have to have that almost like, it's almost slightly just detached, view of things. I remember watching Christo have this horrific crash at Innerleithen, and I just watched him have this like ragdoll crash down the hill, and I think he broke his collarbone, but I didn't know he'd broken his collarbone, and I just was like, oof, Christo's a bit fucked. And then I went down to the bottom of the hill, and then I was chatting to my friends at the bottom, And I never even mentioned, like, I didn't even mention Crystal. And then they were like, "Oh, where's Crystal?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like, he's pretty fucked, I think." But that's what, if yeah, oh yeah, that guy, yeah, he's in an ambulance. And when you explain that to anyone else, it's like, it's so it sounds so crazy to them. But when you're at a race, as soon as you start thinking about even the possibility of hurting yourself, like, it's kind of lost in a way. You know, you are right, you can't be thinking about that. How do you think you see racing now then? So assuming there's going to be some World Cups this year, which hopefully there will be. We talked a little bit about your different attitude towards training. How's your attitude towards racing changed, if at all?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good question, that one, and I think it's changed massively. Like, I used to just go as fast as humanly possible, as fast as possible, yes. And now I'd say it's a little bit more calculated, a little bit more, not hugely so, but I feel like over the years I got more consistent, compared to how I was when I was younger. So it's a little bit more kind of planned out, you know, taking calculated risks, and maybe trying to like play things a little bit smarter with how I kind of expend energy over the entire event, and maybe tactics with line choice, which you're always going to get better or learn more or have more to base your decisions on as time goes on. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's changed hugely, but it's definitely just more refined, which sounds like a bit of a cop-out, not really a great answer, but yeah, a bit more refined.
Yeah, it's like I noticed I raced, like, because I pretty much stopped racing when I was pretty young. Like, I stopped racing seriously anyway when I was like 18, 19, and I did student champs like a few years later, and I think that was the best I was like ever raced. Just like I felt the strongest and stuff, and like my perspective, I just had everything a bit more in perspective, do you know, like, and so I was able to, like, I was quite chilled out about the thing, and then I was able to hype myself up to the race, as opposed to when I was younger, it was like trying to calm yourself down before a race is so much harder than trying to, you know, bring yourself up. And when the race is the only thing that matters in life, it's quite like high stakes, do you know?
Yeah, you do. Like, when you were younger, it was just like you were getting excited the week before thinking about it. Just like absolutely buzzing in maths class, just be like, oh, there's a race at Innerleithen at the weekend. Oh my god, it's going to be so good. Yeah,
and you knew there was always a Pizza Hut at the end of that trip down to Innerleithen Day.
Oh, yes.
Always.
What was it? There was one we always stopped at just outside of Stirling. It was always there.
The retail park outside Stirling.
And if you did good, you got to treat yourself to a stuffed crust.
Oh yeah,
got podium.
Extra large.
It's funny, yeah. It's funny, you guys, yeah. Everyone's like racing. A lot of their racing experiences are pretty similar to each other. We all do the same sort of stuff, especially when you're young, probably. So your plans changed in 2020, but you weren't able to race, but you still go to the World Cups, and it ends up being that you're helping some of the privateers that were there. How did that come about?
Again, it was, oh god, we got to make some videos. Well, what can we do? Well, I can't ride. Maybe someone else could race my bike. No one's that tall. Oh god, what do we do? And we're like, right, well, it's called a privateer, so something with privateers, maybe? I don't know, something. So it was literally just like throwing things together at the last minute, and we knew Michaela and Jamie, because from Scotland, nice people, and we're like, right, let's just try and help them and then document their story. It just made perfect sense to try and do that. But then when we were talking about it with Pinkbike and the sponsors, they were like, oh, it's going to be tricky because you have to represent the brands that are funding the whole series. And we're like, well, either we make this video series following them, or we make some terrible race-based, I don't know, educational video at home or something like that. It's like, it's not going to be good. It might represent the brands better, but it's not going to be a good video that people want to watch, or not as good. So we're like, right, guys, we're doing this, and we'll just try and fit in as many like positive things about the brands that are sponsoring the series as we can. It's like, I'll ride down beside the track on my e-bike and talk about how good the e-bike is. And it's like, yeah, I think we got the best video series that we could out of the situation, and
Absolutely.
some amazing stories. Like,
Yeah. So was it just those two riders, Jamie and Michaela, that you were kind of focused on or helping?
yeah, they were the main ones that we wanted to focus on, and then we helped out a few other people on the way. Like there was a couple of Australian brothers that lost their bikes on the flight over, and I actually did lend them my bike, and it was about the right size for them, so that was pretty cool. So my bike actually got to race a World Cup.
And a part of it got on the podium, am I right, Ben?
Oh right,
won
yeah,
a
that
World
was
Cup.
yeah. The brake adapter.
I love that story. It's so good. And like,
What's this story?
Like Minar couldn't have happened to like a better guy.
This is the bit I was most stoked about. It was like, Jamie got a podium. Don't care. My brake mount won. He was running this custom back end that they'd like glued and welded bits onto it to make it even longer. And then he sacked it off and ran a stock back end, but they didn't have the stock parts with them. And they knew I wasn't racing, so his mechanic came over and borrowed just like a wee brake mount. Stuck it on, and then he won. Man, all thanks to me. You're welcome, Greg.
Oh, it was on Greg Minar's bike.
Yeah, it was on Minar's bike.
I thought it was just on Jamie Emerson's bike. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, part of your bike won the World Cup. That's pretty sick.
Morg, you'll need to get Greg on and ask him what contributed to that win and see what he says.
An official thank you to Ben.
That was sick. And then Jamie borrowed my forks and got the podium. So my bike George was just handing out podiums left, right, and centre.
Yeah, it's funny actually, 'cause when I was watching the series like this year, it was like the Scottish riders were just, I couldn't believe each result as it came in. I mean, when I looked, I remember there was cross country women's on Isla Short came 5th, and I was looking, because usually you're looking on the Pinkbike, it just gives you the top 5, and you're not expecting anyone to be in the top 5. And then I was like, I couldn't believe, and then the next day, the next morning was Reese won the World Championships, and that just blew my mind. What like, were you out there for as World Champs? Was that was later on, wasn't it?
That was before the World Cups. I was riding my e-bike in Pitlochry going, I think my neck's better. And then my doctor said, you flipping idiot, don't ride a bike. Stay off the bikes until Christmas at least. So yeah, that was going on while I was still at home.
Oh, so you're still at home. And then, but that was opened the floodgates, and then it was just like this series of, it seemed, I kept on like everyone, it was just like, wow, it's just, if the races are colder and wetter, this like Scottish riders really do a lot better. Do you think that was part of it?
I think it could have been, because every time we'd go to like a hot race, and I don't know if you were the same, Hutch, but I would struggle so much, just like getting dehydrated and like flipping melting in the sun. It was proper hard.
Yeah, Scots have always excelled in the wet. You look back over the race results, and
I was the same. Like, the worst thing for me, and this happened a bunch of times, was I would do quite well in wet qualifying, and then the race would dry up, and it was just, I would just like, I could not repeat what I did in the wet. Were you guys the same? Did you usually do better in the wet?
The other way around. Like, I found the wet really fatiguing because I'm big and lanky. Like, slipping about and falling into holes and stuff. I found I was always like flopping about like a metronome.
You'd be fine now with that back then.
I found it really hard, but then when I got fitter, I think just being Scottish and riding in the wet lots, I did find I would do better at wet races.
So Jamie Evanson's podium, which was probably, certainly for you, must have been like the standout result of that series. Were you, how surprised were you that that he actually. I mean, such a big deal. It's one of the best results. It probably matches Reese. It's the second Scottish podium at a World Cup to Reese's. Third, is it? Or who was the other guy? Oh, Stu.
Thompson years ago.
That's right, yeah. And he was a privateer. So it was totally mad. How big a surprise was it to you?
Really, like, you could see it coming. Like, the rounds in Maribor, he got consistently like a top 30 and then a top 20. And then coming into Lusa, he did a top 10. And it was like, mint, wild. That's, he's been on a steady progression. He was on my, like, junior development team since he was, like, 14. And he's always just, like, steadily improved every year. But then you never quite know if they're going to get to that big, it's like such a big step up to get to, like, that top 10. And then the only thing I was surprised about was the fact that it rained after his run. That was the only surprise. Him doing the amazing run that he did, which we kind of did a wee bit of maths and like figured it out. He would have been about like top 15, guaranteed. It would have been easy top 15. And he'd had 10th the previous race, so we were thinking he was on for a top 10 no matter what. It was the rain coming down after his run, and we were all sat there just going, is this happening? What the hell? It's raining. And Jamie was the same. He was just like, this is insane. This doesn't happen. And that happening at the time it did was a surprise. But his result, it was amazing, but I wasn't like shocked. It was just like, man, yep, cool, good luck. He had what was it? Good preparation, excellent run, and I've got a fire alarm going off. That's it. That's dinner ready.
Did you start kicking, Ben?
So yeah, he had great preparation. He put in an amazing run, and then he had a bit of good luck. And yeah, it was super impressive. Like, he did well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you must have felt especially proud because I mean he was on your team as a juvenile.
Like, yeah, the way I see it is I never really feel like I really helped that much. It feels like it's just they are doing their thing, and it's more I'm impressed with like the rider, and like I feel like the rider does most of the work, like definitely. But I was really pleased that I was able to just help him a little bit on the way. So yeah, definitely proud just knowing him he's a rad dude, and happy for him because he signed a nice deal for next year, so he's making the dream come true. But that's not awesome. Been announced yet, so I'm not going to say what it is.
That's cool.
Yeah, he definitely deserves it because his riding and results at an EWS level, as well as then turning up to a downhill race, he's got the fitness and clearly like the skill and speed, and yeah, excited to see
he's
what
a first year elite as well, isn't he? Was he? Or
yeah, he was. That 2020 was his first year.
Yeah, ridiculous, like so impressive. Like that is crazy. Looking back then on your own career and your own kind of struggle in some sense of getting on to like a factory team and getting onto a World Cup team, what, if anything, would you do differently, and what advice would you give to your younger self?
Move to Surrey. back in the day when me and Hutch were doing it, you had to live near the magazines. It was like the main avenue.
That was the equivalent of social media, I guess.
Yeah, it was the main avenue for like representing brands, was getting in MBUK, getting in Dirt Mag, because the internet was there, but it wasn't really doing that much back then. There was like, you get videos and stuff, but it didn't have the same weight to them that like print media had. So all the people that were getting nice deals and making money they lived down south, and it was nearly impossible to do anything up in Scotland because there was nothing up there. So if I was giving advice to myself back then, move to Surrey. But advice to people now is it's all about your online presence. I mean, that's what you boys are tackling with this Contour Collective, and it's creating something that is valuable and cool that people want to see. So that's what you got to do. And there's so many different ways of doing that, but I can't tell you what it is. Otherwise, you'd just be copying another idea. So you can do that as well. Copy another idea and do it better, or come up with something new.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people as well, it kind of, if you do have a strong online sort of personality or presence, it in some sense takes the pressure off the actual race results, which will probably help you perform better. Because, you know, I suppose all a brand really, like, you're an advert if you're a professional athlete. Like,
you're a billboard.
What your job is. Yeah, exactly. And so whether you're getting that through winning the races or lots of jib videos, it's kind of irrelevant, I suppose.
What about being better? What about improving your riding, Ben? If, like, obviously you had talent back when you were growing up, and you definitely took that to the races and cleaned up at times. And then if there's other riders coming through, other than online presence, which doesn't make you a good bike rider, but you can get good deals from not being very good on a bike. But yeah,
being ridiculously good looking.
It was good job you weren't in Surrey. You would have been all over the mags.
Problem is none of the kit fits me. Still doesn't. I can do headshots. I can do helmets.
Was Hutch's question answered? I think it was. What would you do differently if would you do anything differently with your riding?
Well, I mean, I didn't think about my riding really in any deep way until I started coaching. So I don't know. You don't listen to people when you're young. You think you know what you're doing. You do your own thing. So I'd probably go back and say, you know what? You need to work on your body position. I'd go, piss off. I'm in. What are you talking about? Although, to be fair, I couldn't really do good body position on the tiny bikes I was riding back then. It was kind of hang off the back or nothing. But yeah, I definitely could have been a more technically proficient rider. I was always like, I knew how to go fast, but maybe didn't know how to do it consistently. And that's maybe why I'm more consistent now. I am a technically better rider than I was, and bikes fit me better. But
has that made a big difference? Like 29er bikes and is there bigger frames as well now than there was?
It's made it easier. It's not made it faster, I find. I kind of feel like if I went back and raced myself back in the day, I'd probably get about the same time, but I'd be able to do that time more often, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I was sketchier, made more mistakes, but the speed I don't feel it's really increased.
Yeah, I'm just thinking actually, I remember the last, would have been 2 or 3 years ago, the last Fort William SD I was at. I think you put a ridiculously fast run together. Like it was a 40 something in not great conditions, and it wasn't, we weren't using the World Cup track. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, if that was a World Cup, I think that you'd have just got a top 5 or top 10. Do you think that you've had any SDA results that you think would have been really good World Cup results? Do you think you race better at the SDAs than you do the World Cups?
Yeah, definitely, because I always struggled with nerves at the World Cups. Like you were saying, I'd struggle to calm down. I'd just get all hyped up and then blow out the first turn and make a mess of the rest of the track.
But the first turn was fast.
Oh, so fast. I mean, I was going really fast as I went out of that first turn and through the tapes and into the crowd.
You had a similar strategy to me, I think.
I mean, David, I might be exaggerating a little bit. I did occasionally finish a race with a good result at the World Cups as well. But it's SDAs. I was just really comfy at, knew the people there, and quite often I would know I could win, which was weird. There might be people there that should beat me, but for some reason I just felt really comfy there and really confident at the SDA races, and it's something that's really hard to then take to a world level event, because I guess SDAs, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It's just a regional race. It's for fun. Right. So definitely ride really good at regional events, and it's something I'm still trying to figure out for when I do race the World Cups again.
Yeah, Crystal was talking about that just the other day, like the difference between being at a race, like as he was kind of his progression over his career, the difference of being at a race, like the extra motivation you have, if you actually think like, oh, I can actually win this thing, it's like, oh, you just get into this different level of kind of like energy for it. That's interesting. What about, you mentioned like just the nerves. I'm kind of thinking about this because with the Contour Collective or with like when I was doing my podcast and stuff, like putting yourself out there online is a similar kind of scary thing to, you know, racing a downhill race, for me at least. Like what was the difference in, like, was there much fear in, you know, when you first thought like, oh, I wonder if people want to watch like technical analysis of a World Cup, and was there a bit of fear putting yourself out there, or was it not so much?
No, don't think so. I've always felt really, with the World Cup videos, felt really like on edge and apprehensive because I want to make the best videos possible, and I would get really stressed out thinking like, oh, that video wasn't as good as it could have been, those shots weren't good, and it's all just done like really on the fly, reacting to stuff, and it's like you can't spend ages like figuring out the angle, oh, I need to get the lighting right in that, and like you couldn't plan it all. And then I'd get back to edit it and be like, oh, this angle hasn't worked. And I was doing like the stationary cam for Ghost, and someone's kicked my tripod and it's gone squint. It's like, you bastard. And just, I'd get so stressed out at the World Cup videos. But that's just because I was getting no sleep and I felt like crap. And it was just like, yeah, really stressful. But the other stuff, I've got lots of time to work on and polish it. I know that the videos are going to be well received. I mean, you always get people that are like, oh, that was shit. But you always get that, so you just got to not worry about it.
So the fear, if there was any, was more in the like fear that you wanted to do a good job. I suppose that's the same with anything. It's like you want to do a good job.
That was when I was crowdfunding it as well, so I felt like quite a big responsibility to make them really good. So it was stressful. It's funny, it's like when you're sponsored by brands, it's like, yeah, they'll be all right with that. But when it was actually people and I had their names and I could see who they were and I knew some of them, I was like, oh, I better do a good job.
Tim from Brampton is going to be disappointed in me.
Oh, I didn't ask. Oh, Stu from Canada's question. I forgot. Like, no. He's going to remove his $4 patron fee.
I need that $4. That's funny. So what are your plans then for 2021? If anyone has any plans, go ahead in 2021.
Yeah, things are changing actually as we speak. So nothing's been announced yet, but it looks like I'm going to have to put things on hold until 2022 because there's not enough certainty in the race series, and companies are in a really, really awkward position right now, because mountain biking's exploded. All the companies have sold all their stock. They've had this massive influx of cash, and now they have nothing to sell, and they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if they're going to be able to manufacture everything and then keep the money coming in, or is the biking industry going to just like shut down because everyone's bought everything and no one needs to buy bikes anymore, and they're all just like, they don't know what's going to happen. So they're like holding on to that money they've made, and they're like, oh, I don't think I want to spend this right now. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I had huge plans for this year involving like making a big team, and the budget we asked for was insane. The budget I asked for was insane. It's like quarter of $1,000,000 it was going to cost. So it was a lot. I mean, team managers and stuff will be like, that's nothing. But I know a lot of people, it's like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that, yeah.
So, but honestly, that would cover the costs and pay each person like a reasonable wage, which is what I wanted it to be. I wanted everyone to actually be paid, not just like, you know, doing the usual mountain bike industry thing where, you know, it's just like, you get what you're given, there you go. I was like, everyone needs to be paid a proper wage. And yeah, it just wasn't going to be feasible for this year. So I'm still going to go out and race some World Cups. We're going to make some different videos, but the Walk the Talk video series and the Privateer series has been put on pause. So there's going to be something different in the works. So I've had to make some slight tweaks. We're going to have to make Some different videos for Pinkbike to kind of, do my job, which is working for Pinkbike and creating video content. So yeah, a little bit different this year, which is going to be quite interesting actually. We got some interesting ideas, and it's kind of allowing me to do a few different things as well. So not ideal, but pretty cool. And then hopefully carry on with the OG plan.
Can you say much about that plan?
Which one?
The 2020. What will be the 2022 plan? The team and stuff you're talking about.
So yeah, that's looking to take 2 other privateers and start a team, with the goal that we pick some promising privateers, bring them in, give them the full factory program, document their story, with the hope to then shunt them off into a full factory World Cup team.
That's cool.
And we had some really good riders lined up, and they're going to have to privateer it this year, but we're still going to try and help them out if we can.
A little bit, yeah. Are they from anywhere in particular, or was the like from anywhere? I mean, more just like not off who the riders were. I just like, did you have a particular? Were you like, okay, I'm going to take you 2 UK riders, or were you thinking like, I want to take 2 promising riders from the international kind of circuit?
There's 2 Scottish riders. Well, there was actually 4 Scottish riders we were considering, who were all. It was kind of a miracle. We're talking about Scotland being really promising this year, but there was 4 riders who happened to be the top candidates of the privateer pool from like everyone around the world. We're like, think about it, who would be better? I can't really think of anyone. So it was really cool. There's a lot of talent coming up in Scotland.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's so much riding here. It's always been like, we've always had good riders, but like somewhere like New Zealand is similar sort of size to Scotland, and it seems like they've had more, and we've not had like any. We've had some really amazing riders, but no one like winning, a World Cup or something. Where the UK has been like I would say the best, or some of the best riding, at least in the UK, has got to be in Scotland. But yeah, the UK does so well, and we just haven't had that like World Cup winner, from Scotland yet. Jamie Edmondson. See, he's the hope.
Jimmy.
Next hope.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's pretty much all my questions. Do you have any, Hutch?
I've got loads to chat to Ben about, so don't get me started. I think, I've spent so much time with Ben over the last 25 years, probably.
Too much time. That's why you moved to Bristol.
It is, yeah. I know. I'm looking forward to catching up again soon and actually riding together. It's a bit strange not riding with Ben for so long.
Are you in a Skinsuit in the background in that picture, or is that another one?
No, that's me at the World Champs doing a turn bar in a Skinsuit. Yeah,
that was a Skinsuit. That was you in junior.
You look better in a Skinsuit than me, though, Ben. Let's be honest.
I would disagree strongly. Well, whenever anyone uses a picture to show why Skinsuits were banned, they don't use your one, they use my one. From the Mojo year.
It's funny, I was talking to Hutch about that just the other day, and we talked about this in our last podcast, but just you guys are literally the reason that Skinsuits got banned.
Welcome.
I know.
Yeah, it's funny.
I do have a question, actually, quickly. Ben, why have you got a Christmas tree up still?
Because I'm with the in-laws, and they absolutely love their Christmas tree, and would leave it up all year if they could.
I think more people in lockdown should keep their tree up, just to bring a little
absolutely.
bit of joy to January.
A bit of joy, that's it. Look at those baubles. Beautiful. Look, there's my son. He's got his own wee Jack.
That's cute.
First Christmas. First Christmas. Show it to the people at home. It's not focusing.
My mum, I think, takes pleasure in taking the tree down as soon as possible after Christmas. And she makes a big thing of it, like, it's all over now.
As soon as the last present's open, tree's just out the window.
Exactly. That's enough of that. Cool. Well, I think, that's everything. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. And I think what you did with the privateer team and it sounds like what you've got planned for the future is really cool. And we're excited to see the results of that, and to see how you're going to get on racing the World Cups?
Oh, hopefully everything gets sorted out and we all get vaccines and then racing goes ahead as normal.
Yeah.
But yeah. I am equally as excited to see how I get on. It's a bit of an unknown. It's been so long since we've done racing.
I know, it will be, totally unknown. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
nice
guys.
to see you all. Nice to chat.
Yeah, catch you soon.
All right, I really hope you enjoyed the episode. I certainly had a super fun time talking to Ben. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will answer your questions and really appreciate your comments and your subscriptions. We will be releasing one of these every Thursday at 6 o'clock. We've got some amazing guests lined up. So stay tuned for more, and thank you so much for watching.